Pickens has gone from a 50-1 long shot to be the offensive rookie of the year. He's now 8.5-1 ahead of Pickett, who was 5-1 and is down to 9-1. I think if it's that close, I think if the performance actually would put both guys in the running, the quarterback probably gets it because he's going to be throwing the ball to other people than George Pickett's. And that's one of the reasons why you never see a receiver as the league MVP. It's always the quarterback who's serving it up for him. So I think that right now, Pickett, to me, would be the better bet than Pickens, Myles.
Well, I think one of the things that we don't talk about enough with the Steelers is just how good that complement of weapons is. I mean, we're talking about George Pickens, but they also have Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Freiermuth, who I was talking about earlier, Najee Harris. Like, if you're going to insert a rookie quarterback into any situation, an offensive line notwithstanding, this is a really good complement of weapons for somebody to have if you're going to come in there and be a rookie quarterback and presumably have some sort of training wheels on and try to win games. But, you know, if you're throwing to George Pickens too, I mean, my gosh, that dude is really impressive. The body control that he has. I mean, the sideline catch there, you had that end zone catch that he had against the Seahawks. Like, there are some really impressive things that he has done. And so if he has that chemistry that he's been establishing with Pickett already, like, they could be a really dangerous duo.
And at the end of the day, look, I know the Steelers aspire to win every Super Bowl, and for them, it's not just hollow talk to fill the stadium. They really want to win the Super Bowl every single year. They are going to put the best possible players on the field, but at the same time, they have seen a mild dip in attendance. They have seen a dip in local TV ratings. They need a little excitement for the franchise, and I think that's why they drafted, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why they drafted Kenny Pickett. You know, they had Dan Marino right there in 1983, 8 years before Myles was born, which is very depressing. But they had Dan Marino right there, hometown kid, not just went to Pitt, grew up in Pittsburgh, played high school football in Pittsburgh, and they didn't take him because they thought they had a lot more years with Terry Bradshaw. They had a grand total of one more game with Bradshaw because he had elbow problems. So this is a way to really excite and energize. And if it's close, how do you not put Pickett out there? The only downside, Myles, and this is where the safer approach for a coach is, to go with the veteran, because it's easier to go from the veteran to the rookie. You can't go from the rookie to the veteran. They can't have another Terry Bradshaw gets benched for Terry Hanratty, Joe Gilliam, or whoever else they happen to have around. And it takes Terry Bradshaw 5 years to figure out how to play because they're constantly jerking him in and out of the lineup. Once you go with Kenny Pickett, he's your guy. And I could see a temptation to, let's see what we can do with Trubisky. But what's your end game? You get yourself into a Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance situation where your rookie sits the whole year. I don't think they want him to sit the whole year. So, and I think they're going to be better than people realize. So whoever they put in that spot is going to end up probably staying in that spot because I think they got the defense, they got the weapons, as you said. That quarterback isn't likely going to fail. It's more likely he gets injured, and that's, what's happened to Trubisky from time to time, not just flop and get benched.
Well, the funny thing you talk about, like jerking a guy in and out of the lineup, we know who's on their coaching staff, right? I know he's on the defensive side, but Brian Flores is on that coaching staff. So I don't necessarily think he's going to be making quarterback decisions, but, we're talking about guys getting jerked in and out of the lineup. That's where my mind immediately goes to the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa and Brian Flores. But I do think that you're right. And, the one thing that you can say about playing a rookie quarterback early is that he may have some growing pains, but those growing pains early may turn into like actual gains later on in the season. And so if Pickett goes out there, maybe he doesn't have the best debut against Cincinnati. Well, he's going to have that in his memory bank, and that experience is going to be learned. So, when he goes out and plays Cincinnati the second time later on in the season, he's going to be better off for it probably. So that's where I don't know. I mean, I understand why they would want to go with Trubisky if they wanted to, and say like, yeah, we'll get the experienced guy out there. We'll see what he can do. And then eventually when we feel more comfortable, or if Trubisky falters, whatever it happens to be, then we'll put in Pickett. But like, at this point, I don't know. I understand why they would go either way. And I'm just going to trust Mike Tomlin with the decision. And I think that he's going to be right, whatever he does, because he's one of the best head coaches in the league.
It's a never-ending debate. What do you do with a young quarterback, a first-rounder? There's an expectation he's going to play sooner than later. And I've evolved to the point, Myles, where in this day and age, with the way that the rookie wage scale is constructed and how cheap it is, to use that first-round pick on a guy that can, in theory, make an impact, and you want to get the most out of him before you have to pay him after 3 years, I think that if you use the first-round pick on a quarterback, you better be ready to play him. And if you don't think you're ready to play him, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Draft somebody else who can come in and make an impact, and draft the quarterback when you're ready to play him, not a moment earlier. And I know Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years. That was a very unique and strange situation that somehow worked out. The Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo thing was very unique and strange and different. And typically, I would say, if you're using a first-round pick on a quarterback, then you've already decided you're going to play him. He still needs to earn it in the locker room. That was one of the concerns Sims had about the Panthers maybe taking Kenny Pickett. He was convinced that if Pickett shows up and starts throwing passes and Sam Darnold's throwing passes, the players are going to be saying, well, hi, Kenny, nice seeing you, but Sam Darnold's the better quarterback. So you need to have a competition that you think the guy you draft can win, and it feels like it's moving in that direction for the Steelers. And it seems like the right call. And like you said, you start playing games, you start accumulating that bank of experience. You're better. By the time that we get to December, January, maybe February for the Steelers, who knows? He's not a rookie anymore. Mm-hmm. And you're all the better suited next year when you have a guy who played his entire rookie year versus a guy who sat there and watched. You're so much better off with the guy who played. So I just think that it makes sense at this point. We've seen enough from Kenny Pickett, and we'll see some more Sunday. But unless, again, he just completely fails, I think he'll be the guy. And you mentioned Brian Flores. It's easy to forget that one of the best coaches in the NFL is now an assistant on the staff of one of the best coaches in the NFL. And I've said this time again, I haven't checked the odds lately, but it stunned me to no end to see the Steelers at 10-1 in the AFC North, the longest shot among the Ravens, Bengals, and Browns. Okay, write them off. Go ahead. It's exactly what they want. It plays into their hands. They got Tomlin. They got Flores. They got a great defense led by T.J. Watt. They got Najee Harris ready to, I think, explode this year if he stays healthy. You got the weapons you talked about earlier in the passing game. The only question mark is quarterback, but the rest of the team is so good, it's not as critical as it would be anywhere else. I think they're going to be just fine this year, and I think they love the fact that so many people are like, the Steelers are down, and they're probably going to stay down for a while.
Well, it sort of reminds me of the Patriots last year in a lot of ways, except with better weapons on offense, right? And I think, we could say that they have some better top-tier talent on defense too, right? I mean, I don't know what necessarily expectations were for the Patriots coming into last year. I can't quite remember. I mean, I think I picked them to make the playoffs, but look, they had a guy in Mac Jones that they drafted, and then they put him out there, and he was able to pilot the offense pretty successfully. And, you're talking about, well, once that guy gets that bank of experience, he's better off going into year two. I don't know how much better off Mac Jones is with his current offensive coaching situation, but that's another story. I think Pickett is going to be in a great spot based on the weapons that he's got, based on the coaching that he's got, not just for right now, but then down the road if he does start playing. So, yeah, look, there are a lot of reasons to say, okay, well, the Steelers, I don't know. I mean, they've got quarterbacks who I don't necessarily have the most faith in, whether it's Trubisky or whether it's Pickett. We got to see, we got to do this, we got to do that. I think you're right that they love being written off. People all the time talk about straw men, and, Brady a few years ago was like, everybody says we suck and we can't win any games. people are actually kind of saying that about the Steelers, and they can say that at their own peril. I think, teams in the AFC North probably understand that the Steelers are not going to be a pushover. I think teams around the league probably understand that as well. But, if we in the media want to say Steelers, they're going to be just fine with that. They'll put that thing on the bulletin board and Mike Tomlin will have them ready to go.
What did they do last year? Week 1, going to Buffalo, the Bills, the recipients of all the hype. And they went in there and they caught them flat-footed and they beat them. So the Bengals, it's weird. It's just I can't get used to it after 50 years of being a football fan in and around Pittsburgh. The idea that Pittsburgh is the underdog at Cincinnati, but the Bengals need to be on alert in that stadium that has a new name, and I can't remember what the name is, but it's not Paul Brown anymore. Paycor. That's right, it is.
Paycor?
It's pay something. It's pay Joe Burrow. That's the whole purpose. But yeah, I think they're on alert, and it's not going to be easy. And last year, the Bengals had to scratch and claw week 1 against the Vikings and get that overtime win. They're gonna have their hands more full this year than they did week 1 of last year.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.